Welcome to Reality TV Podcast. The first update we have today is, well, it's a pretty intense look at everything breaking in the reality TV world right now.
And our goal for this deep dive is really to connect the dots.
Mm.
We're looking at these huge relationship breakdowns, public scrutiny, and even how ratings are, threatening the very existence of some shows.
Yeah, we've moved past just gossip. This is about the real-world fallout, the legal, the financial, the psychological.
It's all connected. So we're going to get into some high-stakes meltdowns, image control, and, yeah, the potential death of some big franchises.
Okay, let's just jump right in, starting with what might be the most, brutal public split we've seen play out on a podcast. We're talking about Tommy Fate and Mercedes MJ Javid from Shaws of Sunset.
This one is it's explosive. And it's because Tommy Fate went on their shared podcast, Till the Dirt, but he did it solo.
And he just completely dismantled the whole idea of a mutual, amicable split.
He did. The very first thing he made clear was about the divorce filing itself. He framed it immediately.
His exact words were, "This isn't a we thing, this is a her thing."
Right. And just to underline that point, he made a show of the fact that he's still wearing his wedding ring, even though she's filed.
That's such a defiant move. It's a public performance of rejection, really. He's refusing to accept the legal reality of the situation.
Feels like he's in shock, But it didn't stay there. It escalated very, very quickly into some pretty aggressive attacks on MJ's character.
Exactly. He just flat out called her crazy.
And then he doubled down. He escalated it to batshit crazy.
The vitriol is shocking. And what's so strange is that he follows up these massive insults by saying, almost sadly, that she was still his wife.
It's such a weird mix. It's anger, it's denial, but there's this lingering attachment there too.
Yeah, it's really messy.
It suggests the words are coming from a place of deep hurt, but then he takes it to a place that has, real legal implications. The stuff about parenting.
Oh, absolutely. He made this huge public claim that he has spent more time with their son Shams since he was born than MJ has.
And you just can't say that lightly. When you're in a divorce, putting that out there in public, that's not just venting. That is an attempt to shape the narrative for a custody battle.
He's trying to win in the court of public opinion, and he didn't even stop with her. He went after her mother, Vida.
Mm-hmm. And he used that very loaded nickname for her, Darth Vida.
And for anyone who doesn't follow Shaws closely, you need to understand that nickname isn't just a joke. For years on the show, Vida has been portrayed as this incredibly controlling, critical presence in MJ's life.
Right. So when he says Darth Vida, he's tapping into a decade of show narrative to instantly make her the villain of this story.
And the examples he used to do it were, honestly, they were shocking. He painted the scenario of what would happen to Shams if he, Tommy, wasn't around.
The quote is just wild. He suggested Vida would, and I'm quoting him here, give him a carton of cigarettes, a fucking handgun, and a crack pipe to play with if the kid asks for it.
It's so extreme. It's not just an insult. He's deliberately associating MJ's mother with danger, with addiction, with illegal weapons. It's a complete character assassination.
But it's all designed to undermine MJ's entire family, making them seem unfit. But what's so bizarre is that he completely contradicts himself almost immediately.
Right. After painting her as this monster who would give a child a crack pipe.
He then says he personally gets a kick out of Darth Vida, and that she's a decent grandmother who makes him laugh.
So which is it? It makes you question everything he's saying. The severity of the accusation just falls apart when he says, oh, but she's funny and I like her.
It feels like it's just raw, unfiltered emotion pouring out, not a thought-out argument. And then the criticisms of Vida got so weirdly specific.
So specific. He claimed she's never changed a diaper in her life.
Which is, a classic dig, suggesting she's out of touch or above it all.
And then this really strange logistical point about her not being able to go upstairs, he framed it as a safety issue.
Yeah, like if Shams is upstairs and something happened, like with that hypothetical handgun he mentioned, Vida would be physically unable to get to him.
He's turning a physical limitation into some kind of moral failing. It's desperate.
It really is. And that desperation becomes really clear when he starts talking about his own mental state and the financial pressure.
He tried to make a joke out of it, suggesting the podcast should be renamed. My wife filed for divorce, so I'm trying to pick up the pieces.
But underneath the joke, it was incredibly serious. He's talking about his fear that MJ's trying to take his kid, and then he says something really alarming.
Yeah, he has. Maybe I gotta do a Smith & Wesson antidepressant to the back of my head. You don't know, right?
And that's not a joke. That's a very public, very dangerous expression of extreme mental distress.
To top it all off, he talks about the prenup, and the bitterness is just, it's palpable. He said it basically allowed her to have his testicles.
A phrase that just screams emasculation and feeling trapped. So what you have here is a textbook example of a scorched earth strategy. He's airing everything, no matter how extreme, and it's damaging everyone, including himself.
Absolutely. The audience is basically watching a legal battle turn into a public spectacle.
And speaking of managing public perception, let's pivot to a very different approach. We're looking at Kyle Cook and Amanda Batula from Summer House.
Right. This is a totally different playbook. This is less about public attacks and more about rapid response rumor control.
The whole thing blew up because of a clip in the season 10 preview.
Yeah.
Amanda makes this accusation that Kyle came home at 6:30 in the morning.
And the key detail, the one that set everything on fire, was that he supposedly fell asleep at a fan's apartment.
That phrase, fan's apartment, is just designed for maximum drama. It implies infidelity, or at the very least, something really inappropriate.
So Kyle had to jump on that immediately. He went into full damage control mode with People magazine.
And he was very specific. He denied the fan's apartment part, saying it was actually an after-party that Amanda chose not to go to.
He laid out the whole timeline. There was an event, then a bar, then the after party. His excuse for being out so late was that he doesn't use stimulants to stay awake.
Right, so he just simply fell asleep on a couch. He admits it was late, he admits he regrets the time, but he's adamant that's all that happened.
It's such a calculated move. You admit to the lesser offense, staying out too late, to completely shut down the more explosive rumor about sleeping with a fan.
Textbook PR. But even with that, the separation rumors were already out there. A fan account, Socially Pankles, pointed out that Amanda wasn't wearing her wedding ring in some photos.
And in the reality TV world, a missing ring is like a public declaration of war.
It is.
Yeah.
So Kyle had to address that head on, too. He was definitive, saying they are very much still together. He even pointed out that all her stuff is still in their apartment.
And they lean into this idea that their relationship isn't perfect, and that's why people are always speculating.
Which is their whole strategy, right? They've built their brand on being the messy but real couple. So they acknowledge the dysfunction to seem relatable, but they have to aggressively deny any talk of an actual split to protect the brand.
It's a very modern way of handling a public marriage.
It is. So let's transition from managing those external rumors to the deep internal conflicts happening over on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Kyle Richards is in the middle of it all.
Yeah, she's navigating crises on multiple fronts. The first big one is her friendship with Dorit Kemsley.
Kyle came right out and said the friendship is strained and that they are not in a great place.
And she used a really powerful comparison to describe how bad it is. She called their latest fight an Amsterdam-level blowout.
And for anyone who knows their RHOBH history, that means something. Amsterdam was the peak of franchise violence and betrayal. It was iconic in the worst way.
So for her to use that benchmark, she's signaling that the damage here is severe. What's interesting, though, is her theory about why it's happening.
Yeah, she has a whole hypothesis. She thinks Dorit is taking out all the stress from her own very public, very messy divorce from PK Kemsley on her.
That Kyle is the safe target for all of Dorit's anger and frustration.
It's a classic psychological concept, right?
Yeah.
Displacement. You can't yell at your ex or the situation, so you yell at your friend. It's Kyle's way of explaining the fight without taking the blame for it.
And she's not just letting Dorit's version of the story stand. Dorit claims she was just a sitting duck, passively taking punches.
But Kyle pushed back hard on that. She said, I never felt Dorit was taking punches, and that just because she says it doesn't make it true.
So Kyle is really fighting for control of the narrative here. She refuses to be painted as the aggressor.
And it just shows how these personal crises, like a divorce, bleed into everything else in this world. The pressure cooker gets too hot, and friendships become the first casualty.
Okay, so then there's the other major friendship issue for Kyle, and that's with Sutton Stracke. This one is all about authenticity.
This is a really fascinating one. Kyle's basically saying there are two Suttons. There's the off-camera Sutton she talks to on the phone for hours, who she describes as very supportive, loving, and sensitive.
Right, and fun and funny. That's the person she has a real deep friendship with.
But then the cameras go up, and that person disappears. And for Kyle, that's a huge red flag.
It violates her personal code.
Oh.
She says that for her, what she says on camera has to be the same as what she says off camera.
If it's not, her little antennas go off. She starts asking, who's the real person?
Yeah.
And Who am I to trust here?
It really gets to the heart of the whole reality TV dilemma. Is what you're seeing real, or is it a performance? Kyle is accusing Sutton of performing a character for the show.
And for a veteran like Kyle, who has been on TV for over a decade, that kind of inconsistency is seen as a betrayal. It's not just being a bad friend, it's being a bad coworker, in a way.
So while she's dealing with all that, a new person enters the group in a really unusual way, Amanda Francis.
This story is so strange. Amanda Francis is coming onto the show because she bought Kyle's old house in Bel Air.
The house that was basically a character on the show for years. And that's what caused the problem. Amanda started getting harassed by fans online.
Yeah, Kyle said people felt this weird affection for the house and were angry that Amanda was renovating it. Amanda had to post a story online begging people to leave me alone.
So Kyle's first real interaction with her was to publicly defend her. She basically took Amanda under my wing.
She confirmed Amanda had a very bumpy entry and that there was a lot of clashing right out of the gate, which, is pretty standard for a newbie.
But the entry point is just so bizarre. It's a whole new level of fan investment where they feel ownership over the cast's real estate.
It's truly wild. Now, of course, the biggest relationship drama for Kyle is her own separation from Mauricio Umansky. And a new clip shows them finally talking about his very public dating life.
And this gave us the term that is going to define this entire saga, the hoe era.
That's right. In the clip, Kyle confronts Mauricio about the latest tabloid photos of him with other women. And he admits their own daughters are the ones teasing him about it.
He says the girls told him he's in his hoe stage.
And Kyle just agrees. She says, well, you are in your hoe era. The shoe fits.
It's this moment of dark humor, or maybe just resignation. They're acknowledging how much of a public spectacle it's all become.
But the key difference is how they're each handling it. Kyle says she's also been on dates, but she's being private and discreet, unlike Mao.
And her reason is all about their kids. She says she doesn't want them to see it, and she doesn't feel the need to parade around, showing it off to everyone.
She's drawing a very clear line in the sand. She's implying his behavior is attention-seeking and disrespectful to the family, while her approach is about protecting the children.
It's the protecting the brand versus the guy who is maybe enjoying his newfound freedom a little too publicly.
And that idea of public image is a perfect transition. Let's talk about the pressure on reality stars, starting with the health speculation around Gina Kirschenheiter.
We should say we call her Bedor. This all started with photos of her at BravoCon.
Yeah, the photos showed she lost a significant amount of weight, and fans immediately jumped to one conclusion: Ozempic.
The comments were all over the place. Some people were begging her not to lose any more weight. Others were saying she was much prettier before. It was intense.
And really specific, someone commented on her head size compared to her body. It shows how viewers are now trained to look for the supposed physical signs of these drugs.
And you can't talk about this without bringing up her co-star, Emily Simpson, who has already talked about using it.
Right. Emily publicly admitted she used Ozempic as a great kickstart to lose a few pounds. She gave it context.
She said it helped her stop bad habits, like grazing at night or finishing her kids' food. So she framed it as a tool.
But she also said she stopped taking it because it made her feel lethargic. She said she just had no energy, which is a huge problem when you're filming a show and raising 3 kids.
So Bedor is dealing with all this speculation in a context where her own friend has already legitimized the drug's use on their show. The pressure must be immense.
It's nonstop. The aesthetic standards in the housewives world are constantly changing, and right now, any weight loss is immediately scrutinized.
Okay, from physical image to home decor image. Let's talk about Bethany Frankel and the massive backlash to her new house.
So her new Florida home was featured in Architectural Digest, which you'd think would be a huge honor.
But the fan reaction was not good.
Not good is an understatement. People hated it. The descriptions were brutal. They called it ugly, a home goods slop abomination.
Someone asked if it was an April Fool's joke. There was this huge gap between what people expect from an AD feature and what they saw.
They got really specific, too. They made fun of a $1,000 marble wastebasket, the sheepskin fur on the counter stools.
Yeah, who puts fur on kitchen chairs? They also hated the woven basket lights and something called floating kitchen croissants.
It's just a complete rejection of her taste. But here's the thing. Bethany's defense had nothing to do with taste. It was all about money.
A total financial clapback.
Exactly. She started by reminding everyone of her credentials as a real estate investor, saying she's made $12 million in profits recently.
She basically said, I know what I'm doing.
And then she broke down the numbers on this specific house. She bought it for $4.2 million, which was a $1 million discount because it was a foreclosure.
Already a smart move.
She says it's already worth over $6 million, and she expects to sell it in 3 years for around $7 million.
So that's almost a $3 million profit.
That's the plan. And that, she explains, is why the decor is the way it is. She says the neutral tones aren't for her, they're for the future buyer.
She's making it as easy as possible to sell.
It's a business transaction. She's prioritizing a massive profit over having some kind of unique personal design aesthetic. She wants it to be relatable so it sells fast.
So when people say it looks like home goods, her response is basically, yeah, that's the point. It's designed for mass appeal to make me millions.
Precisely. And she made a point to say there are no pieces from Wayfair or Home Goods in the house. She's saying the look might be accessible, but the price tag isn't. It's a brilliant business retort to a creative critique.
A different kind of authenticity, isn't it? It's not personal authenticity, it's financial authenticity. She's being true to her brand as a ruthless businesswoman.
Exactly. And speaking of business, let's talk about the business of reality TV itself and when it starts to fail. We have to talk about the Vanderpump Rules ratings crisis.
The numbers here are they're shocking. The rebooted season 12 premiere, the ratings were down 80% from last season.
80%. That is a catastrophic drop.
It got only 290,000 live viewers. Statistically, that is the least watched live episode in the show's history.
For a show that was a cultural phenomenon just a season ago, that's a complete and total collapse.
And sources are saying the Bravo executives are struggling. They feel the new cast is just not landing with audiences. The whole revival was a letdown.
So now the show is facing a very real chance of cancellation. The sources say it's likely at this point that the reboot will not come back.
The fan reaction on X was immediate. People were furious, telling Bravo to stop doing these full reboots.
They accuse the network of ruining a franchise. And they're right. I mean, you go from over 1 million viewers to under 300,000. Something has gone terribly wrong.
And what's gone wrong seems pretty clear. Bravo gambled on a cheaper new cast and thought the brand name was enough.
And they were wrong. The 80% drop proves that the viewers were there for the specific people, the original cast, not just the concept. The audience loyalty was not transferable.
And even with Lisa Vanderpump promoting it heavily, it just didn't work.
No. Even LVP's star power couldn't save it. It's a huge lesson for the network.
From a dying show to a career resurrection.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jen Shah's release from prison.
This is a huge story. So we can confirm Jen has been released from the federal prison camp in Texas after serving 33 months.
Which is much less than her original 6.5-year sentence. But she's not totally free.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
She's been transferred to community confinement. That means she's either on home confinement or in a halfway house, and she's being very closely monitored.
Her manager says she's in a positive, hopeful place mentally and has experienced real growth.
And she's apparently committed to paying back the $6.5 million in restitution she owes for the telemarketing scheme.
But the terms of her release are really strict. She's got 5 years of supervision.
And this is the most important part. The conditions of that supervision are all about her mental state.
It mandates drug and alcohol testing, participation in an outpatient mental health program.
And crucially, a legal order that she has to take prescribed medication.
That is a very serious, very clinical requirement from the federal government. It adds a whole new layer to her story and her recovery process.
It absolutely does. And it's something to keep in mind as we talk about her career.
Which is already a topic of conversation. Andy Cohen has said there's no way she's coming back to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Bravo has shut the door. But that doesn't mean her TV career is over.
Right. ABC executives are reportedly very interested in getting her for Dancing with the Stars.
And the logic is purely about ratings. They believe the public has a hunger to see her post-prison life, her redemption arc.
They think the controversy around her casting would create a huge splash.
It's the same playbook they've used before with controversial figures like Sean Spicer. The outrage drives viewership.
So in this industry, a federal conviction doesn't disqualify you. It just makes you a different kind of commodity.
Exactly. Her story of crime and punishment becomes an asset that another network is willing to bid on. It's kind of incredible.
Okay, finally, let's just quickly get into the RHOSLC reunion tea that Heather Gay spilled on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah, she gave a full breakdown. She said Meredith Marks was in the hot seat the most. Bronwyn Newport cried the most.
Lisa Barlow got the most heated, and Angie Katzenavas brought the most receipts, a full report card.
She also used the time to defend her very complicated friendship with Lisa Barlow. People accuse her of talking behind Lisa's back.
But she says she has full evidence for her claims, and she also says her friendship with Lisa is real. Her definition of a real friendship in this world is interesting.
It is. She says, calling a friend out with hard truths about their gameplay is not being a friend.
So for her, true friendship on a reality show means you can criticize each other's on-screen strategy without it destroying the relationship.
Right. It's about surviving the game together. She also cleared up why we never saw footage of that big incident with Brittany Bateman on the plane.
There's a caste rule against it.
Yeah, a rule against recording each other in times of crisis. It was an agreement they made to try and contain future blowouts.
And she also, very skillfully, addressed her own history with lying on the show, the infamous black eye.
She drew a very careful line. She called the black eye situation a lie of omission that she told to protect herself from a pretty violent person.
She argues that's completely different from what Meredith is doing now, which is calling her a liar about something she actually witnessed. She's trying to recontextualize her past dishonesty as a survival tactic.
It's a smart move. And all of this conflict with Meredith led to her final, very firm statement on ultimatums.
She said if Meredith ever made her choose between her and Brittany, she'd choose Brittany.
And her reasoning was simple. Friends who give you ultimatums aren't friends. It's a pretty clear line to draw.
So when you put all of this together, the divorces, the image control, the ratings, what's the big picture here? What's the state of reality TV in December 2025?
I think we're seeing a few big themes. One is just this growing desperation for relevance. Tommy Fate's podcast is the most extreme version of that, using your deepest private pain for public attention.
And the idea of authenticity is changing. For Bethany, it's financial. For Kyle Richards, it's a personal ethical code she judges everyone by.
Exactly. And the other huge thing is the power of the audience. The Vanderpump Rules disaster is proof that viewers are loyal to people, not to a brand name. And if a network forgets that, the consequences are immediate and severe.
We've covered so much, from Tommy Fate's prenup anger to that stunning 80% ratings drop. I think the key takeaways are how aggressive these public divorces are becoming, how veterans like Kyle are navigating this crisis of authenticity, and the simple fact that you can't just reboot a beloved show and expect people to show up.
That sums it up perfectly. But if we go back to the Jen Shah story for just a second, there's one more thought that sort of hangs over all this.
Okay.
We talked about the conditions of her release, the mandatory drug testing, the outpatient mental health program, the prescribed medication, all ordered by the federal government.
Extremely serious clinical interventions.
So it raises this really critical question. Jen Shah's downfall happened while she was under the intense pressure of fame, legal stress, and global public shaming, all amplified by the show. So you have to ask, was the chaos of that reality TV environment itself, the constant conflict, the pressure to perform, the exposure, was that a contributing factor to the very issues that now require this level of mandated mental health treatment?
That's a powerful question.
It's a compelling thing to think about.
Yeah.
Does the industry that profits from broadcasting chaos bear some kind of silent responsibility for the recovery that has to happen after the cameras turn off? It's just something for you to mull over as you think about this deep dive.